My name is Graham Miller. I've been competing, I guess, in bodybuilding since 2006. Currently, I sit at a light heavyweight on stage. So we're at 197 on stage. I've done 12 different shows up to this point. 33. It's kind of due time to make that next step and try and go pro. So the goals are I've qualified for Mr. Ontario. I actually went down into weight class of the middleweight. Stepped on stage at 187. First time in a long time hitting that weight. Pushed really hard. Really focused on my diet for that one, which got me qualified for the Nationals, which I'll be doing 2015. That's going to be in Edmonton, and it's going to be, I believe, the first week of July. So still got some time to prep and put on some size. I will be stepping on stage as a goal weight of 197, so right at the top of the class.
What organization did you guys compete for?
OPA.
OPA, yeah.
Okay, and that feeds in, that's comparable to your RNPC.
Yeah, so
In that
yeah.
yeah.
So OPA at CBBF is the national standings, and then when we get the IFBB Pro card, obviously get the opportunity to come across border and start competing in the NPC shows. So.
Good deal.
So the workout that you guys are viewing today, typically it's how I would start any back workout is with my lat pull down. Obviously building the width of the lats is going to be very presentable on stage. That's my overall goal, thickness and size. So with the first lat pull down, the technique I generally use is elbows forward slightly as I make the movement. Very little low back movement, so the only muscle being utilized is going to be the lats themselves. The movement we started with that you saw a second was a rope cable pull down. I utilize this one separately from the close grip or some of the other methods traditional to back workouts, because it allows for me to open up a little bit wider on my lat spread as the weight comes up, and allows for a solid contraction right down to the low insertion in the back. All right, so exercise 3. Generally for density in the center portion, hitting the rhomboids, the upper traps, obviously concentrating again on the thickness of the back, doing a bent over lat pull. This movement itself, as long as your shoulders are back, your low back is straight, and there's not too much of an arc on it, it's going to allow for the actual back to hit maximal contraction. Fourth exercise, typical to my routine, is a one-arm lat pull with a dumbbell. The way that I do this one has been a technique I've been using for the last number of years, which has really helped to open up my back. What I do is I keep the weight on the one leg where the weight is. So if I'm doing a right arm, all the weight will be distributed on my right leg. A nice stretch forward, and you can see me as I contract back. It's more of a sway motion, so I'm bringing the weight back to the glutes, and this actually helps to hit the entirety of the lat, versus in typical movements you're going to be using shoulders, your biceps, and there's other stabilizers that get used. Here all my focus is for the lats. The next exercise, obviously very standard, one arm bicep curls. Typically I can go a lot heavier, but when it comes to form and technique, that's where you're going to get the maximal value in the optimal size on the arm. So really keeping the contraction on each lift. So the second exercise I did for arms, for the biceps, was a standing preacher curl. I like this one. It just takes the stress off the wrists, allows full contraction of the bicep. Again, slight forward posture, puts all the concentration on the bicep itself. Next one's just a cable pull down. I typically do this one to warm the muscle up before I start moving into other heavier base tricep exercises. But as you see, posturing a little bit forward, keeping concentration on the tricep itself versus using my delts to do the movement. I find that really hits both heads of the tricep and helps to do a nice little warm-up. The second tricep exercise I did, I don't think it would be a traditional one that you would see used every day, but it's one that I use to widen and thicken the head of the muscle. Your elbows want to be postured forward, slight bend at the hips, and as you're pushing down, giving full contraction on both triceps. You know what? Bodybuilding came to me as kind of a natural next step. I've been very competitive my whole life, whether it be in the Toronto-based or the Ontario-based area. I'm a provincial athlete in swimming or soccer is kind of how I was brought up through my parenting there. But when I started with the weights at around the age of 16, it was always about progression. It was never about, an overall goal. And as soon as I got to a certain point and I started noticing possibility of stepping on a stage and competing against athletes with similar intensity and, a dedication to this sport itself, I figured, let's give this a try and see how I can stand against some of the nation's best. So that's what got me into bodybuilding. It's one of those sports where it's I wouldn't say selfish, but it is a one-on-one. It's, mental mindset, overpowering the urge to eat what's not needed and to really associate, your lifestyle in and around the sport itself. So, it's something where it involves a lot of discipline. So, I've always been somebody who's felt that the more you work, the better. So, bodybuilding was that natural.
Name's Elena Soloveva. I'm 26 years old, and I've done so far, I believe, 8 shows. And next one up would be at the Toronto Pro Show, and it's the OPA Provincials, which I qualified for last weekend home in Toronto. And height is about 5'7", 5'8", depends how they measure us. And stage weight is about 135, I believe. And so, yeah, we'll see how Ontario's goes and hopefully nationals soon and go from there. So we started with the back workout, and as Graham already explained all the technical parts, but I personally like to do back, and I find it my strongest feature actually is because I do have bigger glutes, and being on stage, you need to have that X factor. So you need to have a little bit bigger shoulders, a little bit bigger back to have the tiny waist, or at least make it seem like a tiny waist. So Lat Pulldown is definitely one of my favorite ones, and I find that within the years I definitely got a lot stronger as it went and make it more challenging, I guess, as we go. And the third back exercise I did is the bent over rows with the barbell, and I like doing that one because first of all I can feel it in every single muscle of my back, and it keeps the core tight, so it definitely helps up with that. So then move into a shoulder exercise, and that one is personally my favorite because, when I first started competing or training, my shoulders were definitely my weakest point. I could only do probably 5 pounds and maybe 5 reps of that. And just seeing over the years the development and improvement makes me happy. So now doing shoulders, it's my favorite day to work out and my favorite part to hit. So I actually started modeling a long time ago, back in Russia when I was 11. My parents put me in it just to get a little more self-confidence in me, and it was a modeling school, which is where they taught us, walking and all the pictures and how to do your makeup and hair and everything, which I think helped me a lot for the shows because I personally always do my own hair and makeup and feel confident in it because, I don't have to rely on someone else. I know I'll do a good job. And stage presence, that definitely helped. So after university, I started working at a gym and kind of saw a couple of people that compete and said, they look amazing and I would love to look like that one day. What do I have to start? And then went to a show and bikini classes just started then and just figured that's my thing. I get to mix both a little bit of muscle in there and my modeling and everything else, and it just seems like fun. So the second I step on stage, I definitely feel like I belong there and in my own skin and definitely not stage shy. So I definitely have fun.